Okay, so another short video just to show you how to use layer styles. So you can see in the previous lesson we learned about how to create layer masks, where we use shapes to block out in certain areas or emphasize certain areas. You can see I've created a layer mask here that if I were to delete the mask, you can see I used a shape underneath to mask out, or mask in rather, the parts of the pattern underneath. Let me back this up. There we go. So here I have a couple layers. I've got a text layer that says the word bang. I've got a group that's been masked. Inside that group is this layer here, which has a pattern that I created in a previous video as well. So what we're going to do now is figure out how to add layer styles to emphasize certain things. For example, here is perhaps a finished product. You can see I've got an outer glow going on the space, and then I have a thick outline on the word bang. So how do I do that? You can apply layer styles to any layer or any group of layers. So anything within that group gets the same effect applied to it. So let's start with our text here. It's easy to read in some spots, but more difficult in others around the green areas in the earth and the light blue, and it's a little harder to read, and here maybe it blends. The orange and the red are a little too close. Here on the dark blue it's easy to see the outlines of the N, for me anyway. But again, here we've got a planet behind the word G, and so let's do a little something to emphasize that. So I can click on the layer I want to change. I can actually right click it and choose layer style, I believe, but I'm wrong. Or we can clear the layer style. Okay, so it has no layer style. We're going to go up to, we click the layer we want to change, and we go to layer and we say layer style. And there are a whole bunch of different things that you can experiment around with here to see what they do. But we're going to add an outline. In Photoshop that's called a stroke. So I'm going to choose stroke here. Now it's going to be really subtle because it's only 1 pixel thick by default on my Photoshop anyway. I can actually grab this slider and change it, and you can make it super big or non-existent, basically 1 pixel. So what I like to do is just double click in this box and play around with different numbers until I get the look I'm going for. So that might be good there. So it creates a thick enough line to create a distinction between some of the planets that are similar colors to the red. Makes it jump out a bit more. And then you just need to decide what thickness looks right for you. You might also want to play around with the color here. So I could click here on color. It's black or close to black for me by default, but you could play around and see what different colors look like. That might look good or bad. You might take the red. If you go over, you can actually use your dropper tool here and pick the same red, but then you might want to back it off or lighten it. Sometimes that looks good if you pull the current color either towards the white or towards the black. It can complement that color nicely. So that might be something to choose. You might go, oops, let's go back to that original red and maybe pull it down so it's almost black, but still has a hint of that original red in it. That might look cool, or it might not. You decide. It's going to be different for every project and every person's personal preference. Of course, you can do other things with the layer style as well. You could apply different color overlays to the text, or gradient color overlays. That means it fades from one to another color. So here you can see it's fading from dark black to a light white. And I can double click in there and change those colors if I wanted to. So I could start with a reddish and go towards white, and that looks pretty sharp. Or you might not want to go all the way to white. You might want to go just a little shy of getting all the way to white, and it looks quite cool. You can play around. There's a whole bunch of other stuff you could do. Apply textures. You can change different things. You could change the angle that the gradient is applied to here by just moving that around or just typing in a number. See what happens. And when you're happy with it, you can push OK. So you can see once you apply a layer, you can see what layer styles have been applied down here. And you can actually turn them off one at a time just to get a sense of how they're affecting everything overall. And you can collapse this up as well. So if you don't want to see those, you can collapse it up. And the FX here just means it has styles, layer styles applied to it. All right, so let's apply a layer style to this group, which has a mask applied to it, and also has the pattern in the background. And it also has this black background as well. So, actually, no, it's not within the group. I lied. So that black background there is just to it goes above the white background to create sort of like the Big Bang here is popping into empty space. Okay, I'm going to click here on my group, and I'm going to apply a layer style to that group. Right now there is a layer style already applied that's just turned off. I'm going to clear that layer style so that it's not there. That's what it'll be like for you when you start. And I'm going to go up here to Layer, and again, Layer Style. And then I'm going to apply an outer glow this time. So I'll click there on Outer Glow. You'll see a very subtle, it almost just looks like a white outline to start off with. But then what you can do is you can play around with the size and spread of the outer glow to get the effect you're going for. So I think I'm going to choose a low spread but a big size. So it kind of looks like the glow from the explosion, from the bang. And you can play around with other things too. Depending on what you're doing, different layer styles might be more applicable or look cooler depending on what effect you're trying to go for. Again, this is all personal taste, and every situation looks different. So different layer styles look different and better in different instances. So play around though, see what you can do.